The rain hammered the windshield like fists of regret as I pulled up to the curb outside Elena's new house in Portland, Maine. My best friend Sarah had begged me to come help her mom unpack, something about family loyalty, and me being the only one with a truck that didn't smell like wet dog. But the truth was, I'd been dodging this visit for weeks. Elena Whitaker wasn't just Sarah's mom. She was the woman who'd haunted my peripheral vision since I was 16. All sharp wit and quiet storms wrapped in cashmere sweaters. And now, with Sarah off in Boston chasing her tech dreams, it was just me and her. Alone. I killed the engine, the sudden silence amplifying the thunder. Stepping out into the downpour, I clutched the cardboard box of kitchen crap like a shield, my boots splashing through puddles that mirrored the gray sky. The house loomed ahead, a creaky Victorian fixer-upper with peeling blue paint and gables that whispered of old secrets. Elena's Prius was in the drive, steam still curling from the exhaust. She was waiting. For me. The door swung open before I could knock. And there she was, Elena, 45 and timeless. Her dark hair streaked with silver like lightning cracks in obsidian, pulled back in a loose ponytail that begged to be undone. Her blue eyes, sharp as sea glass, locked onto mine with an intensity that made my stomach flip. "Kira," she said, her voice low and smoky, like she'd been holding it in too long. "You came." I forced a grin, thrusting the box forward. "Wouldn't miss it." Sarah guilt-tripped me harder than a Catholic confession, but as she took the box, her fingers brushed mine, deliberate, electric, and I swear the rain paused just to let that spark echo. Inside, the house smelled of fresh paint and salt air, the kind that clings to your skin like a promise. Boxes lined the hallways like sentinels, labeled in Elena's precise script. Books, the good ones. Linens for guests who stay too long. Regrets, do not open. I laughed at the last one, but she didn't. "Humor's my armor," she murmured, leading me through the foyer. "Come on. I'll show you around before we dive into the chaos." We started in the living room, where floor-to-ceiling windows framed the stormy Atlantic, waves crashing like they were auditioning for tragedy. Elena had curated it already, vintage records stacked by a turntable, a worn leather armchair that looked like it held ghosts. "This place was a steal," she said, running a hand along the mantel. "Divorce money has its perks. Mark left me the alimony and the freedom." Her ex-husband, the faceless accountant who checked out years ago. Sarah never talked details, but I'd pieced together the cold dinners, the separate beds. I nodded, pretending to admire an abstract painting of tangled lovers in blues and grays. "It's got soul." "Like you." The words slipped out, bolder than I intended, and her gaze flicked to me, appraising. "Hungry." Heat crept up my neck. Kira Hale, 25 and still fumbling crushes like a teenager. I come out at 18. Dated a string of baristas and poets who ghosted faster than Seattle fog. But Elena? She was the forbidden fruit. The straight-laced widow who'd baked me cookies at Sarah's sleepovers and never once let on she saw me as anything but the nice friend. Here. The bedrooms unfolded like chapters in a half-written novel. Sarah's old room was a time capsule, posters of The Cure peeling at the edges, a dusty skateboard under the bed. "She'll visit," Elena said softly, lingering in the doorway. "But this is mine now." Then her master suite. King bed with crisp white linens, a vanity cluttered with perfumes that smelled like jasmine and regret. I caught my reflection in the mirror, freckles stark against pale skin, auburn hair frizzing from the damp, green eyes too wide for my face. Artist by trade, barista by necessity, I looked like chaos next to her poise. "And the bathroom," she announced, steering me down the hall with a hand at the small of my back. The touch burned through my flannel shirt. The real showstopper. It was a sunlit space with clawfoot tub and subway tiles, but the shower was mid-renovation, paneling half-torn, exposing lath and plaster like a wound. Elena knelt by the open wall. Her jeans hugging curves time had only softened into grace. "Contractor found something yesterday. Thought it'd wait. But... hell, Kira, your family might as well share the skeletons." She pried at a loose board, and it gave way with a groan. Dust motes danced in the light as she reached in, pulling out a metal tin rusted at the edges. My heart thudded. What fresh hell was this? Elena popped the lid, and a cascade of yellowed envelopes spilled onto the tiles, tied with faded ribbon. Postcards too, edges curled. Stamps from Paris and New York. And photos. Black and white shots of two women, arms entwined on a beach, laughing into the wind. Elena picked one up, her fingers trembling. "This house has history. Built in 1892 by Eleanor Voss and her companion, Lydia. They hid this here, away from prying eyes." Her voice cracked, eyes distant. "Lydia wrote her letters. Love letters. The kind that burn." I crouched beside her, close enough to smell her lavender shampoo. The photo showed Eleanor, stern jaw, cropped hair, maybe 30, with Lydia's soft curls and mischievous smile. "They were lovers," I whispered, the word heavy in the steam. Elena nodded, handing me a letter. The script was elegant. "Desperate, my darling. The world spins cruel without your touch. Meet me at the lighthouse when the moon bleeds red. You're in shadows. Elle." A sob escaped Elena then, raw and unfiltered, echoing off the tiles. She pressed a hand to her mouth, but it was too late. The dam had cracked. "It's not just them," she choked out. "It's me. God, Kira. It's always been me. Time fractured." I dropped the letter, my hand finding her shoulder solid, warm. "Elena." But she turned, eyes wild with a storm I'd only glimpsed in dreams, and pulled me closer. Our foreheads touched, breaths mingling like smoke. "I watched you grow up," she whispered, and it killed me not to say it. Sarah's friend. Off limits. But now, this house. These ghosts, they're screaming for truth. Lips met in a collision soft. Urgent. Tasting of salt tears and unspoken years. My world tilted. The shower wall forgotten as hands tangled in hair. Bodies pressing against cool tile. It was betrayal and revelation in one breath. To her daughter. To her past. To the straight life she'd armored. But in that moment, under the relentless Maine rain, it was just us, two women cracking open like the hidden tin, spilling secrets that had waited lifetimes. The kiss broke, leaving us gasping. Elena's eyes searched mine, vulnerable and fierce. "Tell me to stop. Please." But I didn't. Instead, I traced her jaw, feeling the pulse leap under my thumb. Never. We didn't unpack that day. The boxes stayed sealed as we tumbled into her bed, the storm outside a symphony to our unraveling. Clothes shed like old skins, my tank top pooling on the floor. Her blouse unbuttoned to reveal freckles I'd only imagined. Her body was a map of soft hills and valleys, silver threads in her hair catching the lamplight like stars. I was younger, wiry from hauling canvases. But she touched me like I was porcelain, fingers ghosting over ribs, lips mapping collarbones. Beautiful, she murmured against my throat. And I believed her. Whispers filled the room. Stories of her marriage. A cage of convenience after college. When being gay meant whispers and lost jobs. I loved Lydia's ghost, she confessed, tracing circles on my hip. Read those letters 100 times, wishing for my own. And I told her mine, the parade of almost, the fear of forever alone in my tiny studio apartment, paint-splattered dreams drying on the floor. By dusk, the rain eased to a drizzle, and we lay tangled in sheets, her head on my chest. Sarah can't know. Not yet. Elena's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. I nodded. But doubt not, a betrayal already seated. My best friend, oblivious in Boston, texting check-ins like, "Mom, okay? You there yet?" How long before the lie crumbled? Days blurred into weeks. I became a fixture at the house, helping with renovations, my cover. We'd steal moments in the garden, her weeding roses while I sketched her profile, the sea breeze tousling us both. Dinners by candlelight, lobster rolls from the market, wine that loosened tongues. You're my lighthouse, Kira, she'd say, clinking glasses, blue eyes glowing. And I'd melt, every time, hooked on the romance of it, the drama of stolen glances. But conflict brewed like thunderheads. Sarah called one night, voice tinny over speaker. "Mom sounds happy. Weirdly happy." "What's up?" Elena deflected with laughs, but her hand squeezed mine under the table, knuckles white. I hung up feeling soiled, the secret a weight pressing my ribs. Then the letters called to us. We'd pore over them in the bathroom, now fully tiled, the hidden nook sealed but the tin enshrined on a shelf. Lydia's words fueled our fire. "Your skin is my salvation. E. Let the world burn." Elena read aloud, voice husky, and we'd make love on the bath mat, urgent and reverent, as if invoking their spirits. One afternoon, mid-October, leaves turning crimson like warnings, Elena vanished for hours. I paced the kitchen, phone silent, until she burst in rain-soaked, cheeks flushed. "I drove to the lighthouse," she gasped, clutching a wildflower bouquet. The one from the letters. Felt her there, pulling me back, but her eyes darted, evasive. Pressed, gentle at first. "What else?" She crumbled then, sinking to the floor. "Mark's back in town. Wants to talk reconciliation for Sarah's sake. And there's someone else. Was. From college. Julia." She emailed. Said she's coming to Portland. Betrayal hit like a rogue wave. Julia, the real Lydia of Elena's youth. The one who'd slipped away when life demanded a ring and a mortgage. "You invited her?" My voice cracked, fists clenched. Elena reached for me, but I recoiled. "No." No. "But she knows about us. Somehow." Saw my Facebook post about the house, me smiling too bright. You in the background. The room spun. Secrets had layers. It seemed Elena's past bleeding into our present. "I should go," I muttered, grabbing my jacket. But she blocked the door, tears streaming. "Kira, please. This is our story now. Don't let ghosts win." I stayed, But the fracture lingered. Julia arrived 2 days later, a whirlwind of red hair and designer scarves, 50 and stunning, with a laugh that filled the house like smoke. She hugged Elena too long, eyes lingering on me with knowing pity. "So you're the muse," she purred over coffee, as if I were a phase. Elena flushed, defensive. But the air thickened with old chemistry, the way Julia's hand brushed Elena's knee. Accidental on purpose. Nights fractured. Elena slept on the couch, claiming insomnia, while I tossed in the empty bed, replaying Julia's whispers. We were young, darling, reckless, but real. Mornings, Elena cooked breakfast with forced cheer, but her touches grew tentative, guilt etching lines around her eyes. The climax shattered on a Friday eve, wind howling off the bay. Sarah surprised us early from Boston, key in hand, bursting through the door with takeout and tales. "Mom, Kira, pizza party." But the scene she walked into, Elena and Julia in the living room, heads bent over a photo album, my sketchpad abandoned on the coffee table. Laughter died as Sarah's eyes narrowed, on the intimacy, the unspoken. "What's this?" she demanded, dropping the bags. Julia slipped out with a murmured excuse, leaving Elena pale as driftwood. Hovered, heart pounding. "Sarah, it's Mom." Sarah's voice broke, betrayal dawning. "You and Julia, after Dad." Elena stood, regal even in ruin. "Not Julia. Never was." She turned to me, eyes pleading. "Kira." The room imploded. Sarah whirled, face crumpling. "Kira? My best friend? You've been here every day." And accusations flew. Liar. User. Heartbreaker. I tried explaining the letters, the pull, the love that bloomed from hidden roots, but words drowned in sobs. "You betrayed me," Sarah spat, storming out into the night. Elena collapsed against me, whispering apologies into my hair. I should have told her sooner. "Told you everything." We clung there, the house groaning around us, as if Eleanor's walls wept too. Sarah didn't call for a week. Radio silence from Boston. Her socials frozen on a sunset pic from last summer. Us three at the beach, arms linked, oblivious. Elena and I navigated the wreckage like tightrope walkers, mornings of coffee and careful silences, afternoons tearing out old wallpaper as therapy. Julia left after 2 days. A kiss on Elena's cheek and a card for me. "Fight for her, kid. She's worth the storm." But the damage festered. I threw myself into painting, the guest room becoming my studio. Canvases bloomed with turbulent seas and shadowed figures, Eleanor's stern gaze in Elena's eyes, Lydia's curls in mine. Elena watched from doorways, her presence a balm and a bruise. "You're capturing us," she'd say, voice thick. We'd make love slow and deliberate, reclaiming each other from the ghosts. Her fingers in my hair, my lips on the scar from her appendix surgery, intimate cartography, mapping forgiveness. But doubt whispered, was this sustainable? Portland's queer scene buzzed with pride flags and open mics. But Elena's world was board meetings and PDA ghosts. She'd come out in whispers to her book club, a tentative email to old friends, but Sarah's rejection loomed like a guillotine. "She'll come around," Elena insisted one evening, as we walked the cliff path, salt wind whipping our scarves. Hand in hand, we looked every bit the couple, me in ripped jeans and Doc Martens, her in wool coat and pearls. But inside, I was unraveling. The turning point came mid-November. Leaves skeletonized by frost. Package arrived, no sender. Just Sarah's scrawl on the label. Inside, the tin from the shower wall. Letters refold. A note clipped to the top. Read this. Then decide if you're monsters or just human. S. Elena trembled as we sat on the living room rug. Fire crackling. The letters unfolded like a liturgy. Lydia's pleas for stolen nights. Eleanor's vows of eternal fire. But interleaved were Sarah's annotations, highlighter streaks. Margin notes in her looping hand. This is what you hid from me, Mom. But also, what I ignored. On a photo of the lovers, they look happy. Like you two. In that sketch Kira left behind. Tears blurred the ink. She saw it, Elena breathed. Before the fight. Knew. My phone buzzed then, Sarah. Meet me at the lighthouse. Midnight. Bring Mom. The drive was eternity. Fog cloaking the road like regret. Elena gripped my thigh. Her ringless hand a talisman. Whatever happens, I love you. That's the truth the walls couldn't hide. The lighthouse loomed on its crag. Beams slicing the dark like a promise. Sarah waited at the base. Bundled in parka and beanie. Face illuminated by her phone. No hugs. Just nods. We climbed the spiral stairs in silence. Wind moaning through cracks. Until the lantern room, glass-domed. Stars pricking the velvet sky. Why here? Elena asked. Voice echoing. Sarah pulled out her phone. Scrolling to a scanned letter. Because this is where they fought. Lydia's words. The moon bled. And we broke. I read them all. Mom. Drove up from Boston to understand. Her eyes met mine. Raw. Kira. You're my sister. But seeing you with her gutted me. Like you stole my family. I stepped forward. Throat tight. I didn't steal. It happened. Slow. Like tide pools filling. Elena nodded beside me. Arm brushing mine. Sarah. I never meant to hurt you. Mark was safe. But empty. You deserved better. A mom who was whole. The confession hung. Then Sarah laughed. A broken, healing sound. Whole. You're a mess. Mom. And Kira's the chaos that fits. She pulled us into a hug. Fierce and salty. The three of us swaying as waves thundered below. Just. No more secrets. And Kira? If you break her heart, I'll key your truck. Relief flooded. Warm as dawn. We descended laughing. Planning Thanksgivings and boundaries, Sarah's visits. My art shows. Elena's tentative therapy for the years lost to closets. But romance isn't linear. Emotions ebb like the sea. That winter, as snow blanketed Portland, Elena and I carved our rhythm. Mornings, her brewing coffee strong and black. Me sketching over toast. Afternoons, walks on frozen beaches. Mittened hands swinging. Evenings, slow dances in the kitchen to Billie Holiday. Her head on my shoulder. Whispering futures. One night, post-holiday haze. She led me to the bathroom, now our sanctuary. The tin polished on its shelf. Remember the hook? She murmured. Pressing me against the sink. Lips trailed my neck. Hands unbuttoning. The wall that broke us open. I arched into her. Gasping. Best secret ever. We moved to the shower. steam rising like prayers, body slick and sure. She was poetry in motion, fingers teasing, tongue tracing vows. I returned it twofold, knees buckling as she whispered my name like a spell. Climax crashed over us, synchronized and shattering, leaving us slumped against tiles, hearts sinking in the afterglow. Spring thawed the world, and with it, our scars. Sarah brought a girlfriend to Easter brunch, a shy engineer named Mia, all dimples and data. Laughter filled the house. Easy now. Elena proposed a gallery show for my paintings. The Lighthouse series sold out. Critics murmuring of tender reckonings. Yet humanism tempers joy. Elena's health faltered that summer. A shadow on her lung. Biopsy pending. We faced it hand in clawfoot tub. Her head in my lap as I read Lydia's letters aloud. If it's bad, she said. Voice steady. Promise you'll live loud. For us both. I did. Fiercely, holding her through scans. Celebrating clear results with champagne and stars. Betrayal's echo faded. Love's depth anchored us. 2 years on. The house stands prouder, blue paint fresh. Garden blooming. Sarah and Mia visit often. The 4 of us a chosen family. Elena and I, we're the epilogue Eleanor and Lydia never got out. Unapologetic. Hands laced on the porch swing. As the sun dips into the Atlantic, painting the sky in reds and golds, Elena turns to me, eyes crinkling. Think they approve? The ghosts. I kiss her temple, tasting salt and forever. They're cheering. Loud as thunder. And in the quiet, the walls whisper back yours in light. The biopsy results came on a Tuesday in July. The kind of sticky Portland day where humidity clings like unspoken fears. Elena's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter as we prepped lunch. Farmers market tomatoes, basil from the sill. I was slicing bread, knife steady, when she answered. Dear. Hale? Yet. We're ready. Her free hand found mine. Squeezing as the voice on the line droned clinical terms. Benign. Watchful waiting. Annual scans. She hung up. And we collapsed into each other, laughter bubbling through tears. A release valve on months of held breath. Shadow my ass, she crowed. Spinning me in a clumsy waltz across the linoleum. I'm too stubborn to fade. I pulled her close. Foreheads touching. The world narrowing to her blue eyes. Alive and fierce. You're my son. Elena. Always will be. That scare reshaped us. Etching gratitude into our bones. We booked a road trip route 1 up the coast. Chasing lighthouses like pilgrims. Sarah and Mia tagged along for the first leg. The 4 of us crammed in my truck. Belting Springsteen and swapping stories. Sarah drove. Mia navigated. Elena dozed against my shoulder. At Acadia, we hiked Cadillac Mountain at dawn. The first light gilding the pines. This, Sarah said, arm around Mia, is what family looks like. Messy. But ours. Back home. Life deepened its roots. Elena dove into community theater, a local production of the Children's Hour. Lillian Hellman's gut punch on Hidden Loves. She played Karen, the schoolteacher torn between duty and desire. And I watched opening night from the front row, heart swelling at her raw delivery. Post-show. The cast mingled in the lobby, rainbow pins glinting under chandeliers. An older woman approached, gray bob, kind eyes, introducing herself as Ruth. Your mom was electric, she told Sarah, who beamed. Captured the ache perfectly. Elena blushed. waving it off. But later in the car, that was for them. For us. I squeezed her knee. The drive home a blur of streetlights and stolen kisses at Red's. My art flourished too. The Lighthouse series evolved into Walls Within, canvases of fractured tiles and emergent hands, sold at a queer arts fest in Portland. Elena curated the booth, proud as a peacock in linen slacks and blouse, schmoozing collectors while I signed prints. One buyer, a burly dyke with tattoos snaking her arms, lingered. "This one's mine," she said of a piece depicting two women silhouetted against a crumbling shower. "Reminds me of my wife." We hid for decades, stories like hers wove into our tapestry, dinners with theater friends, brunches at the lesbian-owned cafe downtown. Elena bloomed, silver hair cropped short in a pixie that suited her elfin mischief. 47 feels like 25 with you, she'd quip, tugging me into bed for afternoon delights. But romance's drama never fully retires. It simmers, ready to boil. Fall brought Mark's shadow, Sarah's wedding invite. A civil ceremony in Boston. "Dad's walking me," she explained over wine. "Mia fidgeting. For tradition." "But you're my people." Elena stiffened. Old wounds reopening. "He called last week." Congratulatory bullshit. Mentioned Julia. Actually. Said she asked about me. Jealousy flickered. Irrational but sharp. Julia had become a distant echo. Holiday cards. A shared meme about bad exes. But Mark's jab stung. Always the dramatic one. "Ellie." That night, Elena paced the bedroom, voice rising. "He thinks I'm playing house. That this sus is a phase. After the cancer scare. Emails. Come back. For Sarah. As if I ever left for him." I pulled her down. Legs entwining. "He doesn't get to define you." Not anymore. Our lovemaking was fierce that night. Nails raking backs. Gasps echoing off walls. She pinned my wrist. Eyes locked. "Say it." "That I'm yours." "Yours," I breathed. Arching. Release came in waves, crashing us into sleep. Limbs tangled like lifelines. The wedding weekend was a minefield wrapped in tulle. Boston glittered autumn gold. The venue a historic hall with chandeliers and harbor views. Sarah radiant in ivory. Mia in tailored suite. Mark hovered, silver fox handsome. Charm dialed to 11. He cornered Elena during cocktails. "You look good. El. Portland suits you." "But Sarah. She needs stability." Elena's laugh was ice. "She has it." "With Mia." "With me." I danced with Sarah, her head on my shoulder during the mother-daughter sway. "Thanks for loving her right," she whispered. Even when it hurt. Tears pricked. Forgiveness. Full circle. Betrayal's final ghost surfaced post-ceremony. A drunken voicemail from Mark at 2 a.m. "Tell Kira she's punching above her weight. You deserve better than a kid playing artist." Elena deleted it without waking me. But morning light revealed the crack, her quiet packing for a solo hike. We confronted it on the cliffs. Wind tearing at our coats. "He doesn't matter," she insisted. But her voice wavered. "It's me. Am I enough?" After the hiding. The almosts. I cupped her face. Thumbs brushing tears. "You're everything. The secret I never knew I needed." We kissed there. Salty and sure. The Atlantic roaring approval. Back home. We burned Mark's old letters in the fireplace. Ashes swirling like released sins. Winter solstice brought renewal. Elena proposed not with rings, but a vow under the Christmas tree, a hand-forged necklace, 2 interlocking waves. Marry me? Not legally yet, but in our way. I said yes with a tackle to the rug. Laughter turning to moans as ornaments tinkled above. Sarah's gift that year, a plaque for the bathroom wall. To the women who broke through: Eleanor, Lydia, Elena, Kira. We hung it proudly. A testament. Years folded forward. 50. Elena ran for city council platform, inclusive housing, queer elder care. I taught workshops at the community center, paint and stories for out youth. Sarah and Mia adopted a rescue pup, visits turning to sleepovers. The house evolved: solar panels, a studio annex, but the shower wall stayed sacred. A reminder. One muggy August Eve, 10 years since that rainy arrival, we hosted a garden party. Friends milled. Ruth with her partner, Julia solo but smiling, Sarah chasing the dog. Elena pulled me aside. Under the rose arbor. Remember the hook? The tin that changed everything. A grin. Tracing her laugh lines. How could I forget? You showed me a home. And a heart. She kissed me slow. World fading. Still revealing secrets. Like this one: I'm pregnant. IVF. Donor. Due in spring. Shock bloomed to joy. Mothers. Laughter bubbled as we announced. Cheers rising like tide. Humanistic triumph. Love's not linear, but layered: betrayals to bonds, conflicts to cradles. As stars wheeled overhead, the walls, those whispering sentinels, seemed to hush. No more secrets. Just us, building legacies from hidden bricks. In the end, it's the revelations that endure, not the storms, but the lights guiding through.